As today started, I was actually working on a totally separate video for the channel, a video you'll likely see on Friday, but is quite relevant to some of the recent Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 news. Although, as the day went on, we just got more and more Fallout 76 news, some being very good, major Bethesda responses to exploits that up until today were active in-game, as well as a ban wave that went on, although it seems like at some point during this process there was almost an accidental ban wave, banning a ton of, if not all, the other players in the process for a brief stint, as well as things like free weekends and what that can mean for the game. If you guys enjoy the content, I do encourage you to get subscribed. Just tomorrow, we're getting the roadmap for Fallout 76, and I have a feeling along with this, we'll probably get some news about the next update, because we don't know much about that either. There's going to be a lot to dissect tomorrow, so I wanted to make this into a separate video rather than just combining the two, as a lot of this information is important, but tomorrow will probably get overshadowed. But hey, if you want to get subscribed tomorrow, there should be a big one. The first thing I wanted to talk about in today's video, though, is actually something a little bit different, and that is the Wastelanders reviews. With the release of Wastelanders, and mostly in the immediate wake of that, a lot of people are paying very close attention to the Steam reviews of the game. It was heavily discussed in the community, got quite a bit of media attention, and overall, the Steam reviews have been predominantly positive since the game's release and slightly working their way up. Although, one thing I noticed that really wasn't getting much recognition or attention in this time period was the regular media reviews of Wastelanders. And one of the big reasons for this seems to be that although Bethesda provided codes to media outlets, and there was a very small preview event for media outlets, basically nobody got access to a full-on review copy before launch. So all of those reviews from large-scale press outlets have only been coming out over the past couple of weeks. And I basically went through them and actually compiled them into a score for some of the ones that did provide a score. And the interesting thing about this is it's actually quite a bit lower than what we see from fans, with the average media score for Wastelanders based off all the reviews I could find being roughly a 6.1. Now, on one hand, this is a massive upgrade from the abysmal score you could see Fallout 76 getting on its initial release, and many of these reviews do cite Wastelanders as a huge step forward, making the game actually now playable and recommendable. But it is interesting to see this fairly large gap in between the audience score and the media score. And I think one of the major factors of this is the media score is more digesting the DLC, exploring the endgame grind, getting to experience some of those bugs that really popped up or became popular in the weeks following the release of Wastelanders, where the audience score, a lot of people played in the first couple of days, then kind of immediately left a score. A good chunk of reviews came in that initial 72-hour window. I'm going to have links to some of these reviews down below. Obviously, it's just the press reviews, it doesn't really carry much weight. Hopefully you can form opinions for yourself without needing things like that, but it is interesting to see this dichotomy, the difference in perspective. What would you rate Wastelanders as a holistic product? I would probably give it a 7 or so, because I love the new main quest. I think the changes to the map overall and random encounters are really cool. But then of course, on the negative side, you have those random encounters, the bugginess that seems to somewhat be maintained. Although speaking of that bugginess, today Bethesda did address some of that also. Just yesterday, we talked about a new dupe as well as an existing glitch with Fallout 76, both of these being focused around vending machines, as well as issues that come about when you go onto a server where your camp can't be placed down. And it seems like today that was actually patched out by Bethesda. They're somewhat vague with this, just saying that they're taking the servers down to address an issue affecting player vending machines. It seems like it hit both the dupe as well as the stash glitch, because they both fundamentally had a similar issue behind them. What was allowing users to dupe was also what was allowing users to accidentally gain items from your stash or buy them from your vending machines. And thus far, it definitely seems like things are mostly in the clear. This was a very rare bug, so it's kind of hard to verify compared to other ones, but many of the methods that were known to recreate this have been solved. So if you took down your vending machines in the past in fear of this one, now is probably a good time to put them back up. Although an important note, it seems like there may be some side effects from this maintenance and hotfix. Bethesda does warn that you should check your vendors, as some of the items you had tagged for sale in your vending machine may have been untagged and moved back into your stash. And even further, when you log back in, please check the cap prices for any items that are still listed for sale in your vending machines, to make sure that they match what you intended to sell them for. Although to go along with this, it does also seem like we got a ban wave hitting those that were abusing this dupe glitch involving the vending machine, which is pretty quick. This was only popularized in the past couple of days, so good on Bethesda for being so snappy with a ban wave. With this dupe glitch, it seems like you are only able to actually dupe stackable items, so things like treasury notes, legendary modules, as well as junk, ammo. So some of the bans going out seem to be similar to past ones where you have over 100,000 of a certain item. So having over 100,000 of ammo or junk items that feasibly you shouldn't have been able to get over the past couple of days or weeks, or separately acquiring too many of things like treasury notes in a short time span, although technically possible if you're just hardcore grinding events, unlikely. And it basically seems like the way Bethesda is doing this is they're checking accounts to see if you surpass this limit. It's not like they actually know you are duping directly, they're just inferring it because you shouldn't be able to get this many of an item otherwise. Although unfortunately, either as a result of that or some other criteria with this ban wave, many users who abuse this dupe exploit have gone unbanned. They were not caught in this ban wave and are still able to play the game. Even further, out of all the ban emails I've seen posted thus far, each of them actually mentioned that this is only an account suspension, not even a literal ban, mentioning how the account's access to Fallout 76 has been suspended until such time as this issue is fixed in a future patch. Once this fix is live and confirmed, we will reactivate this account and notify you that you are able to access the game again. This is something they've done in the past, actually in a separate ban wave where it was also using certain criteria for users hitting over a certain number of items, and that's how they got banned for a dupe. And I'm not totally sure if this is just Bethesda can't guarantee they were abusing a dupe, so as a result, they're only doing a temp ban instead of a permanent ban, but it just seems very odd to me. Exploiters and hackers in Fallout 76 have seen a surprising amount of leniency from Bethesda support at times. There are reports how some hackers in the Battle Royale mode would blatantly hack and then only get 72-hour bans and then they could return, which when you're abusing things so blatantly and obviously, that just seems odd to me. Although shortly after all of this went down, the ban wave as well as the servers coming back up from maintenance, something odd happened with Fallout 76, where it seems like almost across the board, affecting nearly all users of the game, as you tried to log in, you got this error, which typically is the error you get when you are banned from the game, and Bethesda has actually confirmed as much in the past. So immediately, many people, including myself, actually get kind of scared or surprised that they were caught in this ban wave also. But in reality, it just seems like someone at Bethesda did a bit of an oopsie. Although this error is associated with bans, and that's predominantly how you'll see it, really all this means is you don't have the entitlements to play the game. So it seems like at some point, for roughly 20 to 30 minutes, Bethesda accidentally removed the entitlements to play Fallout 76 for a ton of players. You could find literally hundreds of Reddit posts made in a very short span, Bethesda responding to some of these very quickly, and again in roughly 20 minutes or so, things were back to normal. It's not totally clear what happened, but it is just kind of a funny thing that happened today. The day where Bethesda accidentally banned a good chunk of their player base. Although despite Bethesda addressing this dupe and having a ban wave to go along with it, it wasn't quite comprehensive. Again, in those who were actually banned, some people seem to just slip through the cracks, Bethesda only banning those who hit a certain criteria or other factors, but even further, the patch to address the dupe wasn't comprehensive either. Some of you may recall that all the while during this stash vending glitch, not only were odd or incorrect items getting placed in your vending machine, but also odd or incorrect items, or perhaps even ineligible items, were getting placed in your display cases. So with the hotfix today, the exact same dupe method is possible. All the steps are exactly the same, except instead of using a vending machine, you use a display case. So this does have a somewhat tangible impact. There's some items that you could place in a vending machine that you can't place in a display case, and in turn are no longer dupeable. But just in general, this is another instance of one of those band-aid or incomplete fixes. Bethesda addressing one aspect of this, but not the rest. And the reason this could become a much larger problem, even though seemingly the big ban wave may deter people from abusing this too much, is Fallout 76 was just announced to have a free weekend starting tomorrow. Tomorrow at noon Eastern Time, the free weekend will begin, as well as a double experience weekend for Fallout 76. Free weekends with this game, although at first glance seeming like, hey, a really cool thing for any game, are actually not super good. In this particular instance, there is an existing and working dupe. People can pretty much dupe freely on brand new accounts, and then just transfer those items to other accounts they actually plan on keeping, so even if the accounts that were duping get banned, they'll probably be okay, as long as they're smart about it. But even further in the past, on free weekends, hacking becomes way worse in the nuclear winter mode. They're publicly available hacks that will likely get you banned, but if you don't really care if that account gets banned because it's free, it just required an email, you see way more hacking, at least on PC. So it'll be interesting to see what the result of this is. I'm gonna definitely be playing Nuclear Winter tomorrow just out of morbid curiosity, but it just seems crazy to me that just before a free weekend, Bethesda did not manage to address this dupe exploit, considering literally the steps are identical to the one they just addressed, just using a display case instead of a vending machine.
Juicy ist ja auch da.
Ich glaube, ihr habt euch heute gesucht und gefunden, gell? Der André und du.